our preliminary, let me just kind of show her a sample of some of the stuff that we could do for you,
Okay.
knowing full well that everything we're going to show you, Janelle, is customized and can be changed basically at will. It's just the feedback would be great if it's not the plan for you, and that's okay.
Okay. That sounds
So
great.
any
Thank you.
questions before I just jump in here?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, cool. Then you will be able to see what I need you to see. If you can see me and my middle son in a drum lesson, if you can
Very
see that, just
nice.
let me know. Cool. All right. So let me pull that aside. No offense to my boy, but this is about you guys. So, all right, here we go. Let me let Microsoft catch up with me, and we'll take up the full screen, and we'll get started. But also, hey, as I'm going through this, feel free to ask any questions you want. I mean, as the corporate
Okay.
trainer, I'm kind of designed to answer your questions anyway, so you might as well seize the moment.
Okay.
And frankly, even if there's something outside of what we're showing you that you have questions about or interested in, we can certainly help.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
all right, great. So you guys can see the Building Industry Association of Washington slide, I would hope.
Yep.
Okay. So Microsoft's being a little weird. In the interest of time, I'm just going to move forward, but don't bother reading the slide, there's a lot of words on it. You're not going to get the time back. Let me just say that it's kind of a laundry list of stuff that Townsquare does on this slide, like paid search and email and every social media platform you could think of. I mean, literally, if it can be done digitally, we're probably doing it. But
Very
like I
cool.
said, this is a custom plan for you. So a lot of these things won't be in the plan, and that's okay. If there's other things you ever want to know about, let us know. If there's other businesses you guys kind of dovetail with and they need help, let us know. Like we can help with whatever. Not a big deal.
Okay, just a quick question though. You were originally a radio company, right? Or is it just broader media?
Well, nah, I mean, kind of, sort of. Townsquare started about 14 years ago, and it was a really smart guy who was the Assistant Secretary of Defense for President Ford, who bought up
Okay.
tons of radio stations and said, but digital is going to be important. So he hired our CEO, who was actually the Executive Vice President of Yahoo back when
Okay.
you and I were going through dial-up. Remember Yahoo dial-up?
Yep. Yep.
Bill Wilson was the guy that ran that. He's my CEO. So we're
Okay.
much more than a radio company. Actually, about 54% of our revenue is digital, and we're the third
Okay.
largest owner of radio stations in the country.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense because
Cool.
I do work with people who work for, they have the Town Square email address. And so I just assumed until I knew about the digital side of things that it was a big radio conglomerate.
Yeah, that too. I mean, we have
Okay.
500 plus radio stations under our belt as well.
Okay.
But the right tool for the right job.
Yep. Today we're talking about digital.
That's right. So let me move forward with this is kind of an expression of what we took away from our last conversation. The
Okay.
opportunity really was, can we put a plan together to help you guys increase the awareness to the general population you're trying to target in Washington with respect to housing and red tape and costs and all the stuff that you guys want to get
Okay.
out there. And so certainly, that's part of the thrust. It's also when it's time to get signatures for various initiatives that you guys have ongoing. And if that's true, our strategy at kind of a high level, and we'll walk you through it in a second, is to be targeting consumers that we know based upon certain life events are likely going to be positioned to need housing in the near future so that you can prime that pump before they get there, as well as to reach people that we can see currently are now in market for housing.
Okay.
It's really just those two audiences in general. Is that appropriate based upon our last conversation?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, cool.
Yeah. Sorry. We also have Slack at work. And so I just got a Slack message popping up in my bottom corner. So my apologies.
Totally okay. We have similar systems. I'm not going to spend too much time on this slide because it's a little internal, but just to say we do a lot with data, some of which you're going to see expressed in this proposal, some of things that you won't see expressed in the proposal. Building lookalike audiences. We do research. We can do consumer market research. If you want us to query every person in the state of Washington right now that's in market for a home and ask them a question, we can do that kind of stuff for you. All
Okay.
kinds of
Cool.
crazy stuff. We can build lookalike audiences, get spreadsheets of people you want to meet and greet and bring more people that are similar digitally, all kinds of fun stuff. So just know that if you ever have questions about data, how to use it or how we use it, open book. Just let us know what we
Okay.
can do. And you're going to see some serious data in the proposal as I kind of get through it here. So in terms of how do you do this, guys, like how do we reach people in the state of Washington that are about to need housing and so therefore these things are going to be important to them, or they're currently in market and so these initiatives are going to be important? Well, we're going to start with native advertising. Are you
Okay.
familiar with native ads?
Shoot, I'm sorry, my thing just got
That's okay.
hijacked. Okay, sorry. I don't know how to turn off Slack so it stops bouncing into my screen. It's very distracting. Okay, there we go.
It's okay.
Yes, I am familiar with native advertising, but if you ask
Good.
me to define it, I would not be able to do it. So
No big deal. In this case, what we really want to do, kind of the bottom right-hand corner, you have the bubble that says home buying and real estate.
Mhm.
All we want to do is we want to make it so that if someone happens to be in the state of Washington and they are online reading any articles online, and the article happens to be about home buying, real estate, growing your wealth through real estate, anything like that, we want to position you and native ads inside that article so they click away
Okay.
from that article and then come to your website because you guys have pretty rich content.
Yeah.
And so I want to grab people that are already showing interest and get them to know more about you, get them to know more about how you're trying to support the cause of reducing red tape. So
Okay.
this is all about people are already showing interest by reading content. Let's just teach them about you so you guys can teach them about what's important.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
And
Thank you.
yeah, totally cool. And keep in mind, every tactic that we're going to discuss here, we have an entire team of like graphic designers, art departments, and all that kind of stuff to supplement anything you guys may not have. And 99% of the time, our services are at no charge.
Okay.
So just kind of keep that in mind along the way. So tactic one, let's target people reading about content relative to home buying and selling and real estate and all that fun stuff. Let's introduce them to who you are. Let's get them on the website to read your content and know and trust you. So as those initiatives come out, you're familiar to them. So that's layer one.
Okay.
Any questions on this guy?
Nope.
Cool. So layer two is actually YouTube. The reason that we picked YouTube here, and as you can see in that red bubble again on the kind of bottom right-hand corner, I'm going to be targeting people in the state of Washington that go to YouTube, but only people that go to YouTube that I know are in market for real estate.
Mhm.
They're researching real estate, they're looking at real estate, they're doing anything related to like home buying and selling. And this, if you're familiar, I'm sure you use YouTube in your personal life, Janelle, is that
Mhm.
true?
Yep.
So this is that video that you can skip in 5 seconds and then you can get to watch what you want to watch.
Yeah.
And it's highly targetable. And so my question to you, and I'm going to use the sales trap on you because it's a really good way to make a point. When you use YouTube in your personal life, Janelle, number one, I know you go there to learn something. 9 times out of 10, it's how do I do this? How do I do that? And so I know people are very mentally open when they go to YouTube, but when that video starts playing that you can skip in 5 seconds, what percentage of the time do you skip that thing the second you can? Because you probably don't watch those commercials. Are you skipping like
Yeah.
99% of the time, 100% of the time?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, it depends on how short they are. Sometimes I'll give them 5 to 10 seconds of a chance and then skip
Okay.
ahead.
Do you think it's fair to say 99% of the time you'll skip it at some point without letting that commercial complete
Yeah.
itself? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. If I had to ask you to venture your best educated guess, if you hire us to deliver your video content to educate home buyers and sellers in Washington, what percentage of the time do we successfully get people to watch the entire video without skipping 1 second? If I asked you to give percentage, what do you think that would look like?
I would guess you would not be telling me this unless you had a pretty good score. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 90.
Wow. Okay. I wish it was that good. It's not quite that good. That'd be really good. Good guess though, and good logic. A lot of people don't pick up on the fact, yeah, it's a trick. So the number's actually pretty high. Um, don't know why my thing is now dead here, but when it decides to show back up, we're at about a 70% completion rate.
Oh, that's good. I mean,
And
we had a pretty good run with our original Cut the Cost campaign too, with the 15-second ones.
uh-huh.
So we're pretty happy with that.
Well, what's really nice, and my Microsoft is now going to time out for a second.
I don't
Perfect.
think it was
Um,
70% though, I'll tell you that.
it's okay. What I love about the 70% is I can dance around on that and be happy. Hey, 70% of the time, like a homeowner is actually going to watch your whole video and learn something is great. What I think is better is that if they skip 1 second of that video that we deliver for you, it's free. We don't even charge you guys.
Mhm. Yeah, I've
So it's
jotted that down. That's interesting.
Yeah, and when someone watches the entire video commercial that they're targeted, it's 15 cents against a budget. So it's extremely efficient. people are already in YouTube to learn something anyway, and then we're only hitting them if they're actually interested in real estate. And now we're teaching them about you guys, and it's free if they skip one segment. It's an extremely efficient tactic.
Yeah.
Any questions about the YouTube TrueView tactic?
Nope.
Cool. So Facebook and Instagram. So this is where we're shifting gears a little bit. As you can see in that bottom right-hand corner, I'm not targeting people that are in market for real estate because you actually can't do that in Facebook. They don't allow you to target things that way. But I do know, because we do a lot of these kind of campaigns, we have a lot of data, that consumers that are going through certain life events, they're graduating college, they're getting engaged, they're having babies, they're sundowning, are people that are going to be buying or selling homes. And so if we can position you in front of people that are going through these life events and kind of prime their mental pump, as the baby gets closer and now we need the extra bedroom, I need to buy a home, I'm familiar with you, your initiatives and the red tape. So this is just priming the pump of those people that I know are going to need you. Maybe not today and maybe not 6 months from now, but sometime in the next year or so, they're likely to start making decisions around the buying or selling of real estate. So I want to educate them. And now I'm just going to reach them while they're hanging out on Facebook. So we can do things like deliver them videos. We can measure how many people are like sharing and liking and commenting and all that kind of stuff. But more importantly, we want people to learn about the initiatives so that as you guys need signatures, you guys need people to sway their vote one way or another, then this is a really great environment to do that in.
So now, when you were talking about not targeting people who were looking for housing, that was a hang up that we had with our last two campaigns, is
Yeah.
that delivering messaging about housing or wanting to buy a home or any of that
Yeah.
was getting rejected. But we
Yeah.
had relationships. The last company had relationships with Facebook enough to get our ads approved. And
Well,
so,
here's the problem with that. Let me ask you a
mhm.
question. The workaround that they used that got those ads approved, did you feel like you got what you expected from Facebook after that?
Well, I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, they delivered the, I think they probably had to reword our ads a little bit to explain that we weren't trying to target specific audiences with an offer of housing, which is apparently flagged as discriminatory. It
Correct.
had to
Yeah, that's
be,
when you
we
get
had to
into
make sure
weird stuff.
our ads were written more clearly as educational and not an offer of housing.
Got it. Well, then here's something we could do. And this is I'm glad you brought that up because it's a good example of everything that we do is custom. What we could do without changing the complexion of this campaign at all is add another audience segment for you, which would be in-market real estate. And we could have separate ads. So the ads that go to the in-market real estate are the playful, you got to be careful with the language and that we're not positioning the sale of anything. And then maybe we have a completely separate message that goes to these people that are near to the point of needing to really focus on housing. And it's a totally different message, right? When you're ready, stop here first or help us sway the vote. So when you're ready, right, it's the best opportunity for you. But yeah, we could have just different audiences, different messages, and then measure
Okay.
independently.
So when you were talking about in-market real estate, are there messages that are allowed to go to those people, or like, I mean,
Well,
I
I'm
wanted to hear a
leveraging.
little bit more what you had to say about that.
Well, what I was going to say is that Facebook is fairly restrictive on housing and how you can target and the data that you can use. So what I was going to say is if you've already had success in that water, then I was going to steal your success. I was going to ask them, let me see your ad so I can kind of see what you guys were saying. And we'll try to
Mhm.
do the exact same thing from our angle.
Yeah,
I haven't seen a
yeah.
lot of
I mean,
success, but you
it
guys
makes
must have
sense
gotten
if
something
it's
right.
already been approved. But yeah, I mean, you were asking if we thought we saw success with those ads after they were tweaked. Is that why you were asking, is just to see if it was worth the tweet?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, what I'm trying to see is the juice worth the squeeze. And if they actually got, a good result from that, then I can simply take those ads and either replicate them or do something similar and do the same thing. I personally, though, really think that you should be targeting people a little earlier in the process as well.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? That are,
No, I
I'm
agree.
not
It
quite
kind
there.
of broadens it out a little bit, because that was something we just had a leadership summit with some of our members, and we were talking through this campaign as an example of targeting audiences, etc. And one of the things we learned in the first campaign that we did with a very low level survey was that the millennial non-home owners that were still renting, 97% of them wanted to buy, and they got their information about housing and housing issues from their friends and their family. We didn't get a
Mhm.
chance to dig much deeper into that. So as opposed to finding it online, digitally, etc., They were mainly their trusted source was their friends and their family. But then the question from my audience was, well, who do the friends and family get their information from? Well, that is a good question. We didn't drill down to the next level to see where they're getting their information. So thinking about this, these are people who are specifically interested in buying, but there's probably another audience of people who are interested in getting their kids out of their basement.
That, and I like what you just said, because if I look at kids graduating college, people getting engaged, having babies, maybe not the retirees as much, I think about, okay, someone that's having a baby that hasn't had one yet, and you can refine that by age, is someone that probably hasn't really had to ask the questions of friends and family. What about housing? Like, how does this work? And so to put you in front of them earlier in the process means they may be better informed before they start asking those friends and family members, which I think is kind of a good thing.
Exactly.
Any questions about this leg then beyond what we just discussed?
No.
Okay, so let's get into the fun stuff, because now we're getting into some deeper waters. So because we're a very data-heavy company, what we did is we did the legwork, and you can see these different audiences that we've pulled to see who could we email on your behalf right now that are the right audiences. And so we said, we want to know a couple of different buckets of people. We want to know within the state of Washington, how many email addresses exist right now, because this data was pulled Friday, that are owned by people that are right now expressing digitally, I'm looking for a house. That I can explain a bunch of different ways that you can do that. So we got 351,000 people that right now have an email address we could target that are in market for real estate. I've got just under 31,000 people that are in market for a home, and they lean as an independent politically, which we thought would be important to you because you're more likely to sway them left or right dependently.
Yeah.
And then we have almost 250,000 people, and these are all separate buckets of people. Almost 250,000 people that are in market for a home, and they're politically active and they're actively voting. They're just not designated necessarily as right-leaning or left-leaning, but we figured, okay, maybe that makes the most sense. So we have a set number of emails that we're going to send out on your behalf. We're really kind of giving you an opportunity to say, hey, this of these audiences you've expressed to us, this is the one we find the most interesting. Or maybe just as an expression of how we can target people, you may look at these three things and say, actually, you kind of missed the mark. We really want people in market for real estate that are Republican or that are something else that we didn't know about. But the goal here is to target people with email messaging. And also to follow people that open the emails. I don't know if have you ever done email marketing at all?
I mean, a little bit, a very little bit.
There's a couple of things we want to do with this email marketing. Number one is get the emails to the right people, regardless of whatever bucket of people you want to talk to. For anyone that actually opens the email that we send them, we will hit that person with follow-up banner ads, display ads, thanking them for engaging with the email. Hey, don't forget this, that, whatever the messaging happens to be. So that's kind of layer one. There's a couple of layers to this though, because we have already priced out, and this gets a little complex, buying the physical postal address of the people that we will email. It's referred to as a trickle campaign. And what this allows us to do, Janelle, is to define the actual physical address of people in Washington. I'm going to pick an audience that are politically active and in market for a home. And we will start delivering you guys your content through video and STV into all the devices in their home. So that's the pretty Wi-Fi TV on the wall for the real pretty high def TV commercials. It's also every tablet phone or desktop computer in that same home as they're surfing the internet, going to sportsillustrated.com or doing whatever. They're going to see video content from you guys, and they're going to get the video content because they're the people that we're going to email at the end of every month.
Okay.
And say, are you aware of these initiatives? We've been talking to you all month long, basically. And now here's the important part. Here's your email at the end of every month. So it's audience duplication. The people that get all the video content in their home are the same people that are going to be getting the email content. Does that make sense?
It does.
It's also the same people that when they engage with that email, will follow them with further banner ads to further educate them. And I don't know how often you guys do this, but the bottom right-hand bullet point here, measure how many consumers come into a physical location. If you guys had like events throughout the year, maybe I'm just going to make stuff up, like some kind of a quarterly gathering in which you're trying to gather a bunch of signatures, we can turn it on to measure foot traffic from these
Mhm.
homes that we've been sending videos and emailing into a secondary location and just show you, hey,
Cool.
you had a big signing and we got
Mhm.
400 people or something. I'm just going to make the number up who actually showed up physically at an event, in addition to all the people that watched your videos and came to the website and, did all kinds of stuff.
Mhm.
Another thing we can do is, as part of your getting signatures, do you guys collect the email addresses of people that you get a signature from?
Yeah, so I mean, basically when we're collecting quote signatures to date, the last campaign was really where we got a lot, but it was basically Facebook petitions.
Okay,
So, they saw the one page or one image ad, basically got upset enough to sign the petition and tell uh, policymakers to stop raising costs of housing in Washington. And then they put in their name, their zip code, and their area and their email.
got it. And when they entered that information, were they had already left Facebook and were on your site, or did they give all that information while still in Facebook?
Well, it depends. So the first campaign, they went to a landing page and filled out the email. But the problem was on the first campaign, we were told that asking them for their name and email and a zip code was too many pieces of information.
I
So
agree.
that first campaign, we got about 2,000 people that did name and email. But the second campaign, that was the Facebook form, basically.
Yep.
We did get name, email, um, and zip code. So we feel
Okay.
like that's and that we got 90 some hundred, 9,100 or so email addresses and with zip codes, which we thought was pretty effective for
Cool.
that campaign. Over the other one, and we think the other one, the drop off was because they had to leave. I mean, we use
Facebook.
native advertising and Facebook and YouTube. We used kind of all those tactics that you were talking about to drive them to the landing page. Once they got to the landing page, they had to be convinced to give us all their
To give
info,
the
and
information.
that was a drop
So
off.
good feedback. I'm glad you said that because we can do it either way. So
Okay.
when I talked about Facebook before, conceptually it was we're going to get people to leave Facebook, come to your landing page and fill out information there. But it's
Mhm.
easy enough for me to switch it. So no, we'll just keep them in Facebook and load the form in Facebook as you did previously, because that's more successful. And if you can get them to fill out 3 pieces of information, great. My experience tells me one is ideal. You get the best response if it's just give us your
Mhm.
email address.
Yeah.
Um, the reason I brought that up though is specific to the email. So if it's true that every month we would email out people in the state of Washington that we knew were in market for a home, and let's say they were politically active, then every month you guys could pass us a list of the new people that you got as like new signees.
Mhm.
And we could monthly balance that list against all the people that we emailed and pass you back a match rate to say, hey, here's just another level of transparency. We sent out, I don't know what the number is off the top of my head, I'm going to make it up, 50,000 emails last month. Thank you for showing us that you got 300 new signees. And of the
Mhm.
300 signees last month, 150 came from Townsquare. They match who we sent
Mhm.
emails out. So the numbers I made up, but the
Yeah.
transparency, it's just another level of transparency that we can provide.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's perfect.
Cool. And the messaging that we send to these people's homes is up to you. Like we can say what we want to say. It's all video because video educates. If you wanted to do like banner ads, we could, but we really thought video made a lot more sense because you guys really have a message to get out there. It's more than, hey, click me. It's you need to
Mhm.
know this. These are things that should be important to you. So,
Yeah.
any questions on the email / delivering into those people's homes kind of trickle campaign combo there?
This is kind of more of a larger question, and that
Yeah.
is, um, on the campaign side, I know that there's certain lines where you cross a line and you have to report back to the Public Disclosure Commission that you're spending money on politics. How much have you done with other groups in this space? And, what's your comfort level on advising? Okay, so this information, you can go to this line without getting in trouble, but once you cross this line, then you're going to have to report the spending that you're doing.
Well, I'll say a couple of things there. We do a lot of political. as a company. I
Okay.
mean, as the
So
third
working with
largest.
candidates or
Oh yeah,
grassroots groups, all of that. Okay.
grassroots political issues, major candidates, regional, local. I
Okay.
mean, as the third largest owner of radio stations in the country, cyclically, a big part of our revenue happens to be political as we're entering those windows again right now.
Yeah.
We also have a legal team that I could lean on if need be to keep us true.
Okay.
We would lean on you as well and your counsel and your experience
Yeah.
because you swim those waters more frequently than we do, but we do have experience in those areas.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, because I'm fairly new to the political ad spending. I've spent 20 years in government.
Yeah,
So, I mean, advertising and political advertising is all kind of outside of my realm. Though when I worked for the Attorney General's office, we sued people for screwing up. So, I prefer to be on the side not getting sued.
I respect that. Hey, and if nothing else, here's a little bit of proof in the pudding for you. If you remember, the gentleman Wade that originally reached out to you did so because I taught him how to find out how much you were spending on a political or grassroots
Exactly. Yeah,
campaign.
no, that was pretty cool.
So just so you know. And by the way,
Yeah.
did you end up getting and using the video that we sent you about the Facebook page transparency? Do anything with that?
I did. Yeah, it was really helpful, but I didn't get a chance to show my boss yet. So I was just
Got
kind
it.
of playing
Okay.
around with it. Yeah, yeah.
Totally cool.
No, that was cool. I mean, my boss and I have both been just traveling like crazy the last month or so. He's getting higher up in the National Association of Workforce or Home Builders, I mean. So we haven't had a chance to sit down, but I wanted to go through this with you all and
Sure.
then get back to him
Totally cool.
with
Well,
some
look,
ideas.
tips like that are things that we would want to do you as just as part of the partnership. Like the better
Yeah,
we can make you at everything that you do, the deeper the relationship exists between us. So just let
yeah.
us know as you want to pick things up. Like we're happy to help.
Definitely, and
Um,
I probably, as we talked about, I mean, he's getting ready to leave again. Otherwise, I would have him on this call. But as we get closer and probably into early 2024 and start talking more in earnest about what we can do together,
yeah,
I would love to have him and our political person sit in on this as well and just ask whatever questions they have because
sure.
trying to run interference between whatever questions they're going to come up with and you think, oh, then they asked me this, and then going back and forth, it'd be just better to have them
L-
talk to the source, I think.
Look, in the spirit of that, if you set up a call like that, I would pull in the political expert on my end who can really speak
Okay,
directly. So we're not doing the whole like grapevine thing. So not a problem.
exactly. So
Not
you
a
know what I'm
problem.
talking about.
Oh yes, I'm an efficient guy. I prefer not to waste time.
I do
Um,
too.
any questions on this piece?
No.
Okay. So those are the tactics.
Okay.
That's the tactic. Like let's use native ads to really educate people that are leaning in already. Let's use YouTube to target people that are buying and selling homes and just need to be educated. Let's use Facebook to get ahead of people in life events that we know they're near to needing housing, and we can add the layer of people that are already in market and be careful with the ads off kind of what you've already had success with.
Okay.
And then let's email people after we've been delivering videos to the big pretty TV on the wall and every device in their home only if they're people that are in market for homes. And again, you can help us manicure. What group of people do you want to talk to? Do you want people just looking for homes? You want people that are more kind of left leaning, right leaning, independent, just politically active? Because we can
Yeah.
pull the data any way you want.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the overarching plan. So assuming we do work together, and we'd love to work with you, a couple things to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Number
Excellent.
one, like I said, creative is essentially free. The only time we would end up charging you for the creative piece is if we have to custom produce like video content. Other than that, we'll even take video content from you if we need to edit it and do voiceover work and that kind of stuff. We can do that at no charge. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
So we can also work with any guidelines you have. You guys can create like one template and we build out others for you. Like any iteration, we're just going to be easy to work with. And again, no
Okay.
cost on that.
Great.
4 quick things. I said 4 and I put up 3. 4 quick things. Even if you don't do this strategy, Janelle, with us, because this is a very custom thing, I
Mm-hmm.
hope you can appreciate it. It was customized for you off a conversation that we had. There was no package here, like nothing
Yeah.
like that at all. And similarly, any creative we do will be custom to you guys. The second line item says, everything that I just expressed to you, every tactic happens within our 4 walls and our keys are on the key, our fingers are on the keys. And that's important because that means we're not passing you off to other media companies who all want profit and therefore the spend on media goes down and as pockets get lined. We don't do that. It also means if we need to make changes to the campaign, we can do it really quick because it's us doing it. It's not us relying on another company.
Mhm.
Third bullet point says, It'll be our job to make recommendations as to how to improve this campaign to get a better result, not your job to say things are broken. And so we'll be looking at things on a continual basis. And when we make a recommendation, it'll be data driven and not opinion based. We're not going to come in and say, we need to shift half your budget to TikTok because all our interns say that's the way to go. It's the rage right now.
Yeah.
Instead, we'll say, we just pulled some new data and we can see this is a segment of the population we think is a better, target, and here's why. Can we test this and kind of see what we get? So it's always going to be data driven.
Perfect.
And then lastly, we would want to meet with you guys on a regular basis, as frequently as you guys would like. Sometimes it's a bi-weekly thing, sometimes a more monthly, sometimes a quarterly, but when we have those meetings, we want to talk about actual results, not vanity metrics. I don't care about impressions. I don't care about number of clicks. Those don't really mean anything to you. In your case, we would want to talk about how many signatures are we getting, like potentially how many people showed up to a specific event.
Yeah.
How many people are going to specific pages or watching the video content we need? Like those are like real material things that mean we're actually doing good work. So any questions on that stuff at all?
No, I love it. And my team is
Cool.
very data driven. And we do get a lot of opinion based advice. So it's always important to us to be able to point back to the data and say, this is the direction that we're going, and this is why. This is our members' money, and we want to make sure that it's being used effectively.
And we're not shy to show you the data, to put you right in the platforms and explain what you're looking at. And I have an entire division of the company that I could pull in to do market research for you guys. Like we can do a lot for you.
Cool.
So let's get to the numbers.
Okay.
Okay, so the numbers. Let's look at them. Bottom right-hand corner. It's a big number. If you were to do this for an entire year, 12 months out of the year, the plan that we put together, it'd be just under a $200,000 investment for the state of Washington.
Okay.
It boils down to $16,500 a month. So actually, let me point something out before we even talk about the details real quick. Bottom right here, if you see, both parties have the right to cancel 90 days after the start of the campaign with 30 days written notice. It's in writing.
Okay.
And it's really important to me that you hear that, because marketing is a year-round endeavor. Like messages change, audiences kind of change sometimes, but it should be done all year round. But the truth is, we know within 90 days, you get the feel if a media partner is a good partner or not. And so that's all we're going to tie you to is 90 days, because we don't want a hostage client. I don't want a hostage client. If we're not the right fit for you, you should be able to go away and not be held to a long-term contract and all these fees and penalties. That sucks. So we don't do deposits. We don't really even charge for the artwork. And although I have a 12-month plan in front of you, you're only tied to 3 months if you jump on board. And again, anything in this plan could be changed based upon the needs of you, because this was our first shot in a relatively short conversation. So let me run through real quickly what you're looking at here, because it's kind of a lot. This won't take much time at all. So we built this plan based upon every single month delivering 62,000 emails on your behalf to people in the state of Washington that are in market for homes. And again, we can refine that audience to politically active, leaning one way or another, like whatever you want. We can just pull the data again. We are kind of set up to follow people with banner ads who open the email. And of course, more people that open, more people get banner ads. But we kind of price this based upon a frequency of 10.
Okay.
So looking at the prediction of the number of people that typically open an email, we're saying basically every person that opens this email is going to get 10 banner ads after they open the email to say something new, whatever that something is. There is some cost associated with data, because every month we're going to want to pull a new list of people in the state that are now interested in real estate, because it's going to refresh basically every 30 to 60 days as people are now, they've bought the home and now they're not in market anymore. So we're going to want to pull that data fairly regularly. These two lines here are delivering streaming TV commercials to big, pretty TVs on the wall and delivering video to every other device in the household, but only households that are those who were emailing. And what this says is we're going to deliver you 71,000 times a month into the houses, into the big pretty TV on the wall of the peoples we'll be emailing at the end of the month. And we're going to deliver you another almost 140,000 times to those same people in the same households, just in all their other devices. So they can't help but to know you guys. You're going to be very well branded. And the likelihood that they're going to respond to the email just goes up as they know more about you throughout the month.
Okay.
Facebook. So we're going to drive 2,000 people to your website every single month, but we can change that from 2,000 people to your website to people actually filling out that form in Facebook without having to leave it. It's a really easy nuance to make, so don't even worry about that. Then we've got YouTube. Remember, we're going to deliver directly to people that are in market for real estate. And actually, we could add to YouTube people that are getting married, engaged, having babies, and deliver separate ads to them too, just as we would in Facebook. Would be very easy. But we're going to guarantee you 13,000 plus times a month, the people we're targeting in YouTube will watch that entire video without skipping 1 second. And remember, it's free. Every time they skip 1 second of that video we deliver, we don't even charge you. So if I have to deliver like 100,000 videos to nail 1333, that's my problem, not yours.
Okay.
Because we're contracted to hit that number. And then lastly, native, 150,000 times a month. We're going to be hitting people that happen to be in the state, that happen to be reading content about like home buying and selling, real estate, wealth, and all that fun stuff, and trying to get them to leave what they're reading with the native ads and come to read your content.
Okay.
So all in all, it's just a ton of touches to the audiences you want to see, a lot of refreshing of data, trickle campaigns, and a good amount of measurement. But I'm fascinated to kind of hear what your thoughts are, how different this may be from other plans, or just kind of
Yeah.
where your head's at.
No, this is, I mean, it feels like the steps along the process of working with different groups is just continually evolving and getting better. So that's really cool.
Sure.
My question to you is about the emails. Where do you get them?
How do we get the emails
Yeah, how do
themselves?
you get them? How do you know? I mean, how are you able to identify like the person who, I'm at one point I'm looking for housing and then now that I've bought a house and so I'm off the list. Like, how does the data, how do you find that data? Because I know that'll be a question. It's like,
Sure.
where is all this information coming from? How do I know these emails are good? That kind of thing.
Sure. A lot of times that businesses have worked with other media companies, they've kind of struggled with these kind of campaigns, is that they're working rather with what is referred to as structured data.
Mhm.
And structured data means, I'll give you a quick example, Janelle.
Okay.
Let's just say 4 months ago, you went to a baby shower
Mhm.
and you researched on your phone, I need the baby shower gift. And so you then went to a local retailer and you bought like a baby toy.
Yeah.
Structured data would be those media companies that 4 months ago, when you did that search and did that purchase, they put you in a bucket of expectant mothers,
Okay.
right? Because they just, oh, okay, her phone did something that says that she is in market for baby stuff, therefore she's in market and she may be an expectant mother. Boop. And for the next like year, you're going to sit in a bucket of people that are expectant mothers, which would be absolutely wrong.
Mhm.
Unstructured data, which is what we use for email marketing, is real time. It literally is targeting people that within the last, I think it's refreshed daily and looks back 30 days, have done things associated with their email address that say, in this case, they're clearly in market for a home. So these would have been devices that within the last 30 days have done things like download the Redfin app or like the Zillow app to their phones. They would have been looking at MLS listings, querying real estate agents and brokers, looking at land prices, comps, and all that kind of stuff on phones very recently. And keep in mind that as a consumer, you probably have like two email addresses that you really lean on. You have your work one and your personal one. And
Yeah.
your personal one is tied to everything you do. It's tied to your phone company and your cell phone. It's tied to your banking records. It's tied to your cable company. It's tied to everything you do. So it's really easy to see you as a consumer correlated to the email address with all the devices and things you do to build a profile on you. But the
Okay.
main difference is structured versus unstructured data.
But how do you access, like, how do you know the email that I use for my banking account or how I use the email? Is it through like the like my browser, for example, I sign in with Google and when I sign in at Chrome, it gives me a couple different personas and it has all of my usernames and passwords saved. Is that kind of
Yeah,
where that
yeah.
data comes from?
If you think about it, the typical consumer is on, as an example, I'll give you a couple of examples. Most consumers have like the Facebook app on their phone. They have Facebook on
Yeah.
their work computer and their home computer. You have your email address as the bedrock of Facebook, right? You have to provide one.
Mhm.
It's the same with your banking. It's the same with everything you do. And so since every device that you have, you've registered as an example, your email address with it,
Mhm.
digitally, there's a trail between all of your devices that tie you together. And
Okay.
then the universe of those devices help us to build a consumer profile. And it's very
Okay.
clear to see when someone is really in market for something because their behavior changes. They start downloading certain apps, they start going to certain locations and querying certain things. And so it becomes very obvious, this person is in market for this, that, or the other.
Okay. So those people who create like dummy email addresses for all their shopping and everything. That's still a profile, but
It
they
is,
may or
yeah,
may not be getting, they may not be checking it regularly for information like we're sending, or is that?
potentially. And as email marketing goes, as an example here, we're saying we're going to email 62,500 people that are a good fit for you, which we'll do. We guarantee, I think it's a 10% open rate. So
Yeah, that was
10% of
another question I was going to ask you, is how you do on that, because I've also been told, if you're sending out, for us, what both of these companies have done is kind of given us the list, and we use MailChimp, for example, to send out the messages to everybody, and they've warned that if our content isn't compelling and we're not getting opens, then it could be that our messaging isn't going to get delivered.
it's possible, and I'll show you something that I think will help. But let me explain something real quick too.
Okay.
Even if we email 62,500 people, we know that on the bottom end, 10% of those people are going to open them. And a lot of the people that won't open them because they have their email preferences set on their end to have like everything coming in that's not a friend going into like a spam folder, so they're never going to see it. And
Yeah.
that's why we kind of hedge our bets as other media companies do with the 10% open rate. But you're right, if the content isn't engaging, the open rate will suffer. But let me show you something.
Okay.
This actually may be interesting to you because it's not too far off the beaten path. This is an example of an email campaign that I just pulled up that I did a couple of years ago. We weren't even as good at it then as we are now. And a quick explanation, Dream Centers is a nonprofit, faith-based organization that help women that are looking for housing assistance, employment assistance, healthcare assistance. They are disenfranchised. And they wanted us to get donations. They were literally asking me to target people that would give a reoccurring gift of a minimum of $500 a month off their credit card, like just to go ahead and sign it up, take it every month. That was the ask. So that's a fairly tough ask. So on the left-hand side, you can see the email that we created, and we can make them look like anything. People could have clicked this, they could click the mom and daughter, they could click the CEO, or they could click this down here. So it's an attractive email. Well, we sent 77,283 emails out, and we sent them to people in my town that are religious. They make $75,000 a year or more, and they have a history of giving to charitable donations, like all three attributes in one person. So I found 73 or 77,000 of those people. We had almost 19% of those people open that email, so almost double the open rate. So 14,626 people cared enough to open that email. 1,176 people actually clicked through and went to the actual site. So 1.5% of the people actually clicked through, which was really good. And then we can see what they were interested in. And I did a match back with these guys, as I mentioned to you. They sent me a list of the new reoccurring donators. We got, I think it was 28 new reoccurring donators for them off one email. It was wildly popular. So I agree with you. Messaging is very important, and we're really good at that. We'll work with you on that. But I also wanted you to kind of see the numbers, because the response rates when you have good data are actually really good. And also, that campaign, I wasn't even priming the pump in the household with video. I didn't touch that piece. All I was doing was the email itself, and we still hit almost a 19% open.
Okay. And then on the video front, that was another question I had. So, I know there's so many people watch TV so many different ways. And way back in the day, you'd work with Comcast, for example, and then Comcast would drop, sprinkle your little ads in amongst like the big advertisers and stuff. How does it work now? I mean, there's, I'm watching Ted Lasso or whatever on Apple TV. Like, how do you get through?
Sure, great example. If you're watching any premium content on like Sling or Popcorn or Crackle or Tubi or like any of those platforms, if there are commercials that can play, then that's exactly where this would live.
Okay.
And it would either play on the big pretty TV on the wall that's like Wi-Fi capable or connected to someone's PlayStation or something. And so you would see the TV commercial there, and a commercial break on Ted Lasso, for example. That is the STV piece. That's this. It is literally streaming TV in between movies and sitcoms and all that fun stuff. The video is everywhere else. I'm not actually watching Ted Lasso. Now I am playing a game on my phone, and between levels 1 and 2, I have to watch that short little video. If that's an
Okay.
example, or it could
So
be,
that's how you get that ad. Okay.
yeah, or it could be
Yeah,
like
I mean,
uh-huh.
yeah.
It's video or streaming TV, either on the internet or on the wall. We have both bases covered because different consumers are consuming video different ways.
Okay. Okay. But like for this channel, like I don't have any ads on Apple TV, so I wouldn't get it there. But if I was
Mhm.
watching it on any of the streaming TV that does have advertising, that's where that would go.
Yep, and
But
about
not on like
60,
traditional cable, like in the
correct.
middle of a football game.
Nope, unless that football game happened to be aired on like Amazon Prime, in which there's commercial content, and then you could be seen there. So
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, there you
No,
go.
I'm just trying to get a sense of like when they ask, but I did have, our political person, you know, how can we run ads while I'm playing, Panda Pop? And I have to, watch an ad in order to get more bubbles or
This
whatever.
is exactly what he's talking about, is one way we could be delivering you there.
Okay, so this is basically what, the kinds of, you know how it is. You get that random request, somebody heard something from somebody. So like all these things that you're talking about, geofencing, this is all stuff that they've been asking me to figure out how to do, and I had no idea where to go. So this is great.
The good
Very
news is
helpful.
we're one company that can do it all for you, so you're not working with
Yeah,
like 4 different vendors or something. But
that's also
um,
super helpful because we've got a lot going on and trying to, with multiple different vendors can be problematic. So here's where I'm at on the budget front. So we
yeah,
had that budget retreat that I was telling you about, and they decided to just do like a big generic political spend bucket and not have a set aside for my cut the cost campaign this time.
okay,
And so I think they're trying to get a sense of what the political landscape looks like and where they're going to use their political money.
mhm.
But I did talk to them about the fact that, if they're not giving their big chunk of change directly to candidates or putting it into, you know, PAC spending or other money, that I think it still is a smart thing to do to be able to use digital advertising in our mix. And so I think this is still something that we would be really interested in doing. I just don't know exactly how much of a budget I'm going to get, and I don't know when I'm going to get it.
Sure.
But that does beg the question because I have, talking to the folks that we've worked with before, as the campaign gets closer, it's 2024, things I assume are going to get more expensive and more crowded in the advertising space as well. So
That
I'm
window's
assuming
already
there's some
kind of there.
urgency.
Like as you get to the real tail end of October, first week of November, that's when all the rates will start to go up, end of the year inventory and all that fun stuff. So yeah. These are
Okay.
static, by the way, just so you know. If,
Okay.
and I'm not saying you have to do this plan, but if we fast
No.
forwarded 3 months and you said, hey, we're ready to go, you would not see a rate increase on anything that I put in front of you here. So just as a heads
Okay.
up.
Okay, that's helpful because I mean, what I could see, it's just going to depend because I don't know what's in their brains in terms of where they want to put their money and who they're going to endorse and what kinds of things. But having this in my pocket to be able to say, you know, we're ready to go over in communications with some assistance on the digital advertising side, whether it's during the short legislative session or whether we gear up immediately following the short legislative session, that's when they'll start working on their endorsements and gearing up for who they're going to support for governor and all that good stuff. And then then the other thing that's, after the primary, then again, it's going to be refined again on where the money goes and what's available for us to spend.
Yeah.
So, there's a bunch of different opportunities. And so, um, I'll be sure I would love to get this recording and or whatever you think would be helpful for me to be
What I'll
up to
do,
speed. And then, I can do a discussion with them.
yeah, let's
Um,
do this.
yeah,
By the end of the day, you will get this deck, the proposal itself.
the deck's perfect. Yeah, I don't even know if
So,
I need the recording per se. Maybe just the deck is
you
fine.
know, I'm going to give you the recordings. I have a habit of downloading them as a YouTube link,
Oh,
and then I
okay.
can just kick you that. And so you'll have it. It's in YouTube. You can use it or not use it as you see
Okay.
fit.
Just to kind of
Um,
refresh my memory of the
yeah,
questions that I asked. Because so
for
often,
sure.
get on to the next thing and just go, what did he say about that?
That's
So,
exactly why I do it. And just know, keep in mind that We had a conversation, and this is the plan that came from that conversation. So any conversation you have with us is an opportunity for us to build something custom for you, and it could be anything.
Okay.
This proposal represents about 20% of our tactical array. So we can do all
Okay.
kinds of crazy stuff. You just have to let us know what's the challenge, and then we'll let you know, well, this is how we'd address it.
Okay. Well, this is super helpful, and to know that I have somebody that can help me with this kind of thing when I get these questions is very helpful as well, because as I
Cool.
mentioned, advertising has not been my thing. Every job I've had, it's been something different. So this is the newest thing, and picking it up as fast as I can. Thank you for helping me.
No worries, you're worth it, and we'll have some stuff over to you within an hour or so. You'll have a YouTube link in this proposal, and then how long do you want Jake to wait before he hits you back and just kind of makes an inquiry as to whatever the next step may be?
We have a board meeting coming up the 4th through the 6th of November. So I would say after that would be a good time to catch up with us, because right now we're just writing scripts and developing events and all this stuff. So not really in a space to talk about spending money on political ads yet. But I think after the board meeting will be when I'm working with the political people. They'll have their marching orders in terms of their legislative agenda and things like that. And, I could see them being really interested in the working on geo-targeting, things like that. And they've talked about that during session and wanting to find ways to really get into neighborhoods to help persuade people on votes and things like that.
Cool. Well, looking forward to reaching out after like the 5th, the 7th. We're a referral-based business, so if there's anything you saw today that got you excited enough to pass Jake's name to someone else that may need some help, let him know.
Perfect. Thank you, Jake. Definitely. I mean, we're partners with a group of people that like I was talking about, the group that persuaded me to work with the team that I worked with last year is, somebody that I would talk to about this. And then we have a monthly call with all kinds of political types. And so when we're starting to see success, happy to share everything that we can share.
All right. Well, then
Definitely.
you have a great one.
Janelle, feel free to shoot me a message too. I know you mentioned that there might be questions that come up. Please do not hesitate. Email me anytime. If you get out of meetings and say, hey, I wonder what they think about this, send it over. We'll answer it and get it back to you. And you can send those every day. Doesn't matter.
Perfect. It's like having my own advertising team.
You have it. We are here for you.
Thank you. Thank you. This is very helpful.
Good.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Janelle.
Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
You too.
All right, buddy. I will start